Welcome to the Into the Wild podcast. We're so happy you joined us. And look who's back. We've got Adil back from Detroit.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
After a lot of negotiations, I'm back. They reeled me back in. After that first go, I was being double teamed, and not in a good way.
I don't think it's ever good to be double teamed, isn't it?
So Adil's back. Wasé and I are here. You can find us at Into the Wild on Instagram, YouTube, and Theresa Mike's TikTok, where we post new reels, TikToks, and a lot of our more interactive content. And today we've got a great show for you. Adil's going to take us through his reaction to the schedule release. He did a full-on prediction of how the NFL season is going to go down. We also have a power ranking segment we're going to do. We're probably going to do 4 of these throughout the year. One now that the schedule release is out, and then another one preseason, probably one during the season, and then one sometime in mid-season. And then after that, we have a really interesting segment where we're going over our first QB rankings. And we surveyed our group chat, which was 12 people plus an additional 5 people, to give us a full-on landscape. And we've ranked them essentially to see who the top 10 QBs are and who just got left off the list. And I'm telling you, I just got about 5 minutes ago our last entrant that shook up the entire landscape of this project. So we'll see how that goes.
Nope.
And then to end out the show, we've got our Mount Rushmore. Today, it's college quarterbacks of all time, specifically since we've been watching. So we don't really have anything that predates like 2000, 2003. But it's going to be a great show. Let's get right into it. Adil, why don't you kick us off with the schedule release?
Sure, absolutely. Now, as far as the schedule is concerned, can I just say that the schedule release for the NFL pretty much is fully king, right? It just took over the NBA playoffs for me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
It just feels like this was just way more hype. It got way more views. Everyone was dialed in. Twitter was going nuts. Absolutely loved it. So, without further ado, can you guys see my screen? You guys have something pulled up?
Yeah.
All right. Take a look at this. All right. Here are our playoff participants. Out in the AFC, we'll start here. Kansas City comes back with the 1 seed. Baltimore, number 2. Number 3, we got the Buffalo Bills. Number 4, Houston Texans. Number 5, Denver Broncos with 13 wins. The Bengals, another 12 wins. And the Chargers, another 12 after that, rounding out the top 7. So what I'm looking at here is a pretty competitive AFC. Again, this is pre-mini camps. So, guys, take it with a grain of salt. It's just a fun little exercise that we're doing. Out in the NFC, the LA Rams taking the number 1 seed over the Detroit Lions, both of them finishing with 14 wins. The Cowboys, a surprise for most people, but I think that even though the Cowboys had a down year, felt like they just fell apart with all the injuries and, the typical Mike McCarthy crash out. We got the Bucs winning the NFC South just because, the Bucs seem to be the only team that functions properly over there. The Cardinals, the surprise up-and-coming team, 11 wins. The Packers being the only other team from the NFC North getting in at 10-7, and the San Francisco 49ers in what's going to be a retooling year, getting the 7th seed and rounding out the playoff participants over in the NFC. For a more all-encompassing view, you can see what I got available currently. Things off the top of thoughts off the top of your guys' heads. I think the Bears at 4-13 might rub you guys the wrong way.
Freaking disrespectful. Oh my God.
I think that's like, I don't know, between the Bears and the Cowboys, I can't tell which one's least likely to happen.
And the Commies finishing 6-11 behind the Giants.
Yeah, whoa.
Look
the
at that.
Commanders are, and we'll get to that in our power ranking segment, but the Commanders seem to be a lot of people's favorites as a top 5 team right now.
I'm seeing that amongst the media. It's just a darling team. They sucked for so many years, and they finally have the good year. People don't want to see them take a step back.
So based on your analysis of this, what did you see that really was driven just by schedule?
I felt like there were a good amount of teams that really did have the short end of the stick. So again, off the top of my head here, I had the Eagles starting 0-4, something like that. So I had them dropping the first week to Dallas because obviously I'm thinking Dallas is going to have the bounce back year. You guys are looking at my screen here. I also have the Eagles dropping in week 2 Can't find it here. Did I miss it? Oh, here, to the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, murderer's row here. You're facing the Chiefs the second year. I'm sure they're going to want that lick back. Everyone thinks that the Rams are back in contention. They've built a solid young team. I think the Rams would take it against the Eagles again. Week 4, if we go back over here. Actually, I apologize. I have the Eagles beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But again, 1-3 to start the year. 1-3 and to start the year. Wow. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. It's a pretty tough sledding. And the next week, you got Denver. And I've got Denver pretty high up on my list as well here as like a team that's got an easier schedule. I think that they've taken the step. Bo Nix is probably just going to be that sort of distributor of the ball. They're not going to be relying on him to do anything crazy. I have them ascending, even though they don't win the number 1 seed, just because I think Kansas City will duke it out within the division within those guys. But I think that Kansas City, Denver, and the Chargers are all formidable enough to win the number 1 seed, and not just the division. Another up-and-coming thing, Cardinals at 11-6. People think that the Cardinals were just a few pieces away. Their roster was pretty empty, or not pretty empty. They had holes last season. I think that they addressed it in the offseason by getting Josh Sweat. You also I think you ended up pulling the defensive tackle from Ole Miss, Walter Nolan. I think that he's going to shore up that line. I think the defense is going to be pretty solid. The offense is going to take a step forward. And who do they add outside of on offense?
Will Johnson.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They did add Will Johnson as well. Yeah, that's going to be a solid pickup for them. I think the Cardinals are going to be a dark horse to do pretty well.
What about the Panthers finishing second place in the NFC South? That's
kind of wild, man.
I want to see.
Then again, let's ask yourself what the South is right now. I mean, the fact that you have them above the Falcons is kind of like my gripe, but
yeah, honestly, I've seen a lot of people down on the Falcons, and I feel like they've made a ton of great acquisitions, especially shoring up that secondary and the safety kind of whatchamacallit, like the successors to the greats and Jesse Bates. And they got Xavier Watts. They got Nick Eamon. Did they get Nick Eamon? No, they got Xavier Watts and Billy Bowman. Oklahoma. So I think that...
You know what my problem with the Falcons is that they always have these big names that come to the team. They don't seem to have coaching, right? I don't think that they got it right last year. I felt like, their teams were always kind of... Every single game felt like the Falcons were going down to the
Raheem
wire.
Raheem Morris. Sure, it did. In terms of like game management, maybe. But Raheem Morris is a defensive guy. He took a swing on James Pierce, brought him in. He brought in Jalen Walker. They're going to be able to set the edge. They're going to be able to defend in the secondary with AJ Terrell, with Jesse Bates still there, and then with the 2 up-and-coming safeties.
That's my problem is that, yes, they should. They should. I just think the coaching just doesn't get them over the top. It's so friggin' annoying. They don't do anything with their goods. That's like when you win the lottery. Win the lottery and you buy a bunch of laundromats. That's the sort of crap that's going on over in Atlanta.
Hey man, laundromats are a profitable business, so you can't even.
And you think like Arthur Blank. You look like him too.
So my question is, how close are you going to stick to these guns with this prediction? Are we going to see?
Not at all. We're in minicamp. I don't know anything. I have no idea what's going on with the depth charts. I'm just thinking, okay, in my mind when I'm approaching this, okay, how many days in between do they have with those games? Are they road or away? How many miles are they traveling in between to go there? If they have a Thursday night, like how bad was the game beforehand? Like are they traveling from the West Coast? Whatever it might be. Have they won so many? Is this their get right game? Would they be caught off guard? Like in the first game, I've got the Lions dropping to the Eagles. I'm not Eagles. I'm sorry, to the Packers. Just because I'm like, okay, the Lions right off the bat, like they're going to have new coordinators. They're going to feel everything out. It's not going to go over well. I think the Lions could drop to Green Bay. And then I also have a situation in which Cleveland goes over to Baltimore and beats them up a few times, right? Or maybe just the one time here. Again, the whole idea is that, the AFC North is a team. There are teams that basically play each other pretty close. There's continuity within the division, so they know each other real well. And I think that those games are like hard to come by. But rather in the NFC North, things are a little bit more Lions and Vikings dominated. And even though I mentioned the Vikings, with JJ McCarthy coming off of a injured season where he didn't really take reps in the background in that first season, I just don't think that he'd be able to step in and deliver right away. And the Packers just seem like they actually did get a little bit more depth. I do count on them to do a little bit more down the stretch so long as Jordan Love stays healthy. rather than kind of crumbling like they did last year.
Mhm.
And then outside of that, I think the South, AFC South, is going to be a little bit of a bloodbath between the surprise Jaguars and the Houston Texans. I think the Jaguars are going to stumble out the gate. I think the Titans are going to be just feeling it out, making sure that Cam's in a position to succeed. And I think the Colts are going to crumble on themselves, just like they always do. They're going to be in the market in for a QB coming next season. I think the Browns, same deal. They all know that that Deshaun Watson project didn't work out. They're punting. They're going out of it. I chose to deal with the Steelers as if they had Aaron Rodgers. I'm hearing rumors that Aaron Rodgers did sign with the Steelers. This is going to happen. It's going to be announced this week. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Steeler. So that's why I give him a few more games than I probably would have. The Jets, I pretty much have them stumbling unless they're going to a team in which they're pretty much worse. Like the team's in a worse situation, and they might have a few surprise games if they get like a warm weather team coming out towards them. That's why they're a little bit higher. I know people are high on the Patriots, but the Patriots offense is so young and so up in the air that I can't really trust them. And obviously the Dolphins right here, I think the Mike McDaniel project's can be done. I think that's done for them. They don't have a hard nosed team. They just get pushed around every single year, and it's a far ways away from that 70 to 26 game against the Broncos they had a couple years ago, where like it seemed like the Dolphins were high and flying, and now bottom of the barrel for them. Another thing here, the Giants at 9-8. That was something that I really wanted to highlight. I think that they'll do enough to keep their job. I'm talking about Dable and Brian Shane, or whatever his name is.
Joe Shane.
Yeah.
Joe Shane and Brian Dable. That's what it was. I think they're going to do enough to keep their jobs, but I think that they don't have enough on the field in order to actually put something good together. And I think Jackson Dart's going to be starting by late November.
I actually agree with you on the Giants. I think they're a surprise team, like with their roster. I think they're a little bit better than people are giving them credit for.
I think that defense, they went out and they got Debo, and they ended up shoring up the defensive line with Abdul Carter, trading back in to secure the future with Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
I think that I was okay. I pretty much did like their offensive line last year. It's just I think that Daniel Jones was such a bad player that it was, what could he do? Like it was just the Giants didn't have anything going for them. They lost all faith in the season. They gave up pretty quickly.
Right.
Okay, anything else that jumps off the table for you guys?
No, I think you almost went through all of the teams. But that's a great segue because let's go jump into our power rankings. So we did a full-on power rankings between the three of us at this point in the season, post-draft. And again, like I said, we're going to do one later after training camp, one preseason, and one midseason. And this is an interesting list that we've kind of put together because I think let's start with number one, and we can go back and forth between all three of us in terms of counting down the next list. But let's start at the bottom. So honorable mention, in 14th place, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wow, that's pretty low, no? For the Bengals? 14th?
Yeah, that's where we got it. And it makes sense, I feel like, because not only did they shore up their entire future in two receivers, they are still dealing with the Trey Hendrickson stuff.
Right.
And
they don't have a great offensive line either. They haven't retooled that.
They didn't bring in any additional power in the backfield, which we thought they would do with this loaded draft class at running back. They're keeping Chase Brown as their main guy.
Their secondary is still meh.
They brought in a tight end, right?
Mike Gesicki is still.
Oh, they re-signed Mike Gesicki, and
they drafted Eric all last year, but he's not going to play this year. I think they got like Thomas Fidoni, or they drafted a tight end. I think I'm forgetting who they drafted. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm forgetting who they drafted, but I think they got in like a tight end that is pretty solid.
Can I say that the reason why the Bengals are so low is because I'm the only one who had them in our top 10?
Really? Wait, I
didn't have them in the top 10. That's the reason why they're 14th. That's you guys.
Crazy, insane. I mean, I
have like an 11, maybe not 14.
I think I had them at like 12. At number 13, we've got the Packers.
Really? Okay. I mean, they're in the toughest division. They didn't get work.
And I had the Packers, I think, at 11. Did you guys have the Packers in your?
I'm trying to remember if I did or not. I don't think I did. I don't think I had them in my top 10. Yeah, I don't think I had them in my top 10. I think I went.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I think I went like Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, something like that.
All right.
Yeah, and then I
Move
think
on
as
to
far
the
as the Packers,
Texans.
as far as the concerned, I'm the only one who had the Packers, but I also did not have them in the top 10. It was like Packers are
Yeah,
number 3.
I don't
That's
have
where
that.
they are.
Texans, and I don't think I had the Texans in mind.
No, not for me. I think the Texans are going to take a step
Speak
back.
on the Texans.
Oh, speaking on the Texans, yeah. No, I mean, like, I think, what, you think they took a step back from what?
They got rid of Larry Tunsil. They got rid of their best offensive lineman.
Oh, offensive lineman wise, that'll be fine. They got Ariante Ursary, who I think is like a good developmental prospect who has all the tools, and I think he's going to get better as the year goes on. I mean, the offensive line was a problem last year. It didn't stop him from getting to the playoffs. I think CJ Stroud is that good of a quarterback to carry his team, like a Joe Burrow type. Like, that's my opinion on them. And their defense is still like rock solid. Like
CJ Stroud's a Joe Burrow type.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud is not for no.
CJ,
We'll save the quarterback talk.
Elevate his team, bro. What are you talking about? CJ Stroud has got a complement of weapons. Loic is the one that kind of held them back last year. Now, who are they moving on to? Who is their OC? What's going on? What's going on over in Houston? Nobody freaking knows. They haven't done anything to move the needle. They are content with treading water because they play in the AFC South. That's what it is.
Nick Caley.
Who is that? Where did he come from?
He was the Rams passing game coordinator.
Okay. Kim McVay.
Number 11 is America's new sweetheart, the Washington Commanders. Now, I mean, it's the Jaden Daniels show.
I hate the
That's
team.
all it is. I think we all are gigantic.
And honestly, their roster is not even that great.
Yeah, and I feel like we should move on. We don't even have to talk about them.
No, I want to show them the Commanders.
No, do your thing, bro. Come on.
I can't stand them.
What's the purpose of this?
One good season. They're like the Lions. They had one good season after so effing long.
They're not like the Lions.
Like,
don't just.
We're so bad. Like, we're so good. Like, we're gonna beat everyone in the NFC.
I'm pretty sure they've won the division.
The Lions got good for one, like a couple years ago. Now the Lions are a little bit more a bigger force to be reckoned with. But the Commanders, they're the ultimate regression candidate in the world. Hell up. They're the ultimate regression candidate in the NFL. Jaden Daniels, they played like the easiest schedule last year. I think they still have a fairly easy schedule this year. Like SOS wise, they're still like top 10 easiest schedules or something like that. But Deebo Samuel, not a needle mover. They lost Dante Fowler to the Cowboys. Their defensive line isn't as good as what they are going to think. Plus, Jonathan Allen this year is welcoming free agency. I don't know who they signed to get the defensive line better. Marshawn Lattimore is washed. He's not the same guy that he used to be, and they traded their whole draft for the guy. Man, they don't scream like, oh, they're going to be a really good team to me. Austin Eckler, washed.
I don't think that front office made smart decisions. I think that what they're doing is they got happy that they got Jaden Daniels. They're riding the coattails as best as they can, kind of throwing money at whatever they can in order to fill out roster spots. They might be somewhat competitive, but I doubt it.
Honestly, I feel like they're going to miss the playoffs. I really think they're going to miss the playoffs. Their roster is not good, and Jaden Daniels had a really easy schedule last year. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a hater, but
we'll see.
I also don't fucking like them.
You are a hater. You're the definition of a hater. You're the definition of a hater.
Number 10,
that is your job.
We've got the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this says a lot about the Vikings. To be at 10 and not even knowing what the situation is at quarterback right now. They brought in Sam Howell to kind of start the season, maybe, if JJ is not ready to go. But this roster it's loaded in the trenches. And that's really, really important. Obviously, you have Jay Jettas.
And that's a skill position.
You have TJ Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones. They brought in Jordan Mason. They had brought in Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. Their offensive line solid. Christian Darrisaw's still there. Donovan Jackson, they drafted. He was one of your favorite picks in the first round. And then brought in Jonathan Allen, brought in Javon Hargrave. Jonathan Grenard had a great year last year. Andrew Van Ginkel had a great year last year. The only weakness on this team I see is the secondary.
And then they drafted a corner this year also, or bringing the corner. I feel like they brought somebody in for cornerback. Am I mistaken? I'm not.
No, they got rid of Cam Bynum. They got rid of. He went to the Colts. I think they re-signed Byron Murphy.
Yeah, they re-signed Byron Murphy. They re-signed Harrison Smith.
Jeff
They're not terrible players. They're just not. They're just not great players.
Listen,
but yeah, they're solid.
Hey, well, the one thing with the Vikings are that they're well coached. It doesn't seem like Kevin O'Connell runs like a bad ship out there. Like he makes sure that he gets the most out of their players. So I know that there are all these names that are there, but to me, those are kind of mediocre players. But they'll get the most out of them, and that's why they're always going to be, well thought out.
See, I think last year that was the case. This year they brought in stars. Like they brought in stars and then dependable vets.
Aging
like that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need those stop gaps, and then you also brought in a guy like Donovan Jackson that can be versatile on the offensive line. At number 9, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think we all, did you have them in your list? I know me and Adil definitely had them in our list. But this roster is interesting. This is firepower across the board. They brought in Emeka Egbuka, first round pick used on him. When you have an aging Chris Godwin, you resign Mike Evans, and you have, what's his name?
Jalen
McMillan from last year, who had a decent season. He's not like a star, but he's good too. I would say
this offense.
This offense is going to take a step back. But they also retooled the defense. They brought in Hassan Reddick, made sure to keep the pieces all that they had in the secondary with Jamal Dean and Antoine Winfield.
I felt like they had a good draft too.
Yeah. They also drafted the kid from Notre Dame, that corner that we like, Benjamin Morrison.
Solid,
so they're solid. Anything else on the Bucs?
No, I think you covered it.
The Los Angeles Chargers are at 8. Jim Harbaugh's boys, Adil's second favorite head coach in the league. The Chargers are at 8. I think this roster is nice.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Okay, I like the roster.
Obviously.
I like the roster.
Yeah, quarterback obviously.
I just don't think that they have anything that jumps out at the page. It's a meat and potatoes roster, right? It's just okay. You're gonna get your 5 food groups. You're going out there. You're gonna run the ball. I mean, Omari and Hampton and Najee Harris is gonna be unbelievable. Who's that guy from Ole Miss that they pulled in, the wide receiver?
Trey Harris.
Trey Harris. I think Trey Harris is going to really be a good complement to Ladd McConkey. I think that it's a very balanced offense. You're going to see like them kind of like a Python where you like wring out the life of like your opponents. And it's not going to be super flashy. They're going to be really dominating through the trenches. And I think that's why the Chargers are always so scared. I mean, so scary.
Who did they replace for their D-line? I mean, they re-signed Mac. They got rid of Bosa. Mm-hmm. They don't have an interior guy unless they drafted somebody.
They brought in T.R. Tart.
But T.R. Tart was like last year they brought him in.
Yeah.
Derwin James is obviously one of the best safeties in the league, but he's the safety at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Are we overrating them? Did they get much better?
I mean, their offensive line is probably one of the best in the league. They're probably having a top 5.
Slater,
Zion Johnson. They brought in Mekhi Becton. They have They have Bradley Bozeman.
So they're going to go super power run game on the offense.
And then Ryan Hampton with Najee Harris is like a great one too to have. Yeah. So, I mean, at 8, I think that's a solid place for them. Yeah. At 7 is the Denver Broncos.
Damn. That's high.
This is, I think, high. One of those teams that's going to make the Commanders like jump this year.
Commanders like jump this year? I feel like they're a better team than the Commanders were.
Yeah, but in terms of like the Commanders made the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, the way that things ended up
We're
moving.
tripping.
Yeah.
The Broncos, we're tripping. Their defense is great. Defense is great. But dude, Bo Nix literally played with training wheels all year last year. Even like all the quarterback guru guys that are out there are like, oh, he's playing with severe training wheels, and like it's not even good for his development, the way that they're shielding him from everything. They're gonna be a great defense, and I think that's what's gonna keep him in games, but to rely on Bo Nix to take the next step to be a good or like an average quarterback.
I think he'll be an average. If he can be an average quarterback, they make the wild card.
But we're talking about making like a Commanders type leap. So
as in like they went from nothing to
surprise.
No, but the surprise team
this year though. That's not a surprise that they make the AFC Championship this year. If they went to the playoffs last year,
that's true actually.
That's like that was their leap last year.
But I think this defense has the potential to be like
the AFC. That's y'all tripping. Oh my god!
Last year it was more so that the Denver Broncos were the surprise team, and that they had an easier schedule and they overperformed. To some standards. Yeah. This year, Denver Broncos are going to be kind of the team that is to watch for. Like they could surprise people, end up being one of the top 3 seeds. And
every team could surprise.
For Bo Nix to just play average is all they need. They got what they need. They have their offense in place. RJ Harvey is going to be a big part. Everyone has been sleeping.
That's fine. But going to the freaking AFC Championship game in the toughest conference, that is the most outrageous crap I've ever heard in my life.
The hell are you having a migraine
Crazier
for?
things have happened.
It's completely
We've
fine.
literally seen crazier things happen.
No, we have.
The Commanders beat the Lions last year, who were the 1 seed throughout the entire season.
Happens every now and then. It doesn't happen every year.
No, it happens every year. Before that, it was the Lions.
These
The Commanders
semantics
were the
is
Lightning
no.
Bottom.
I'm just saying. I think that they could be a top.
Lightning Nevada last year is not.
I think that they could be a top 5, probably like a top 4 or 3 defense.
Y'all want to bet on it?
No,
I'll bet on regression.
At number 6, the Broncos regression?
Yeah.
All right. At number 6, we got the LA Rams. Matthew Stafford's leading probably one of the best D-lines in the league. They brought in Devontae Adams to replace Cooper Kupp. They brought back Coleman Shelton from the Bears. Who did they draft in the first round? They traded out of the first round, right?
They've built a good, solid, young defensive line too, man.
Yeah.
They're exciting. I like the way that they build their teams. Like they're super aggressive.
You're forgetting
forgetting
about the biggest thing that happened this offseason.
You're forgetting about the Rams?
Devontae freaking Adams.
He mentioned it.
Oh, my bad. No, I didn't hear that. You guys have to make more of an emphasis on this. Devontae Adams, probably the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the league, is now playing with Matthew Stafford.
Oh my God.
You're kidding me.
Devontae Adams right now is not even a top 5 receiver in the league.
He had played with crap for the last 3 years. Devontae Adams is
you literally hold on. Your whole diatribe about your freaking playoff or your schedule thing was the Steelers. I didn't know if Aaron Rodgers is going to get signed with them that I added more wins to them, and now you're saying like Devontae Adams had crap for the last couple of years.
Devontae Adams maybe on the Raiders, coaching. But what? I mean, who did he have? Nathaniel Hackett? Who was before Nathaniel Hackett on the Raiders?
Why does it matter who's?
It was crap coaching.
When do we ever give a wide receiver excuses?
Over in the Raiders, they had to give him 180 targets in order for him to be productive, and he still has miles. I mean, he still has miles left. He's fine. No, it doesn't go with my point.
The ball.
All right, we have 5
because
minutes
they had nothing good going for them. That's why.
At number 5, you're only going to get a minute to talk about your Detroit Lions. So go for it.
What is there to talk about? You guys know that we're one of the elite teams. What do you mean you're only going to get a minute? Where are we going to put them?
I said we have 5 minutes on the segment.
Next one. So. Yeah, next one. Cool. That's all I'm saying is that there doesn't even need to be said. There's the elite teams.
And I feel like the Chiefs are probably going to be like, I don't know. I feel like the vibes have never been lower in the Mahomes Reed era for the Chiefs. And they made the Super Bowl last year. And I don't know. I just feel like they didn't make any crazy moves.
They couldn't.
They are stuck on cap issues. Yeah, the Chiefs.
They got a good offensive lineman with Josh Simmons, giving him a redshirt year. So they obviously now have an answer for left tackle for the future.
And they brought in Jalen Moore. They overpaid, but
it's only a 1-year guarantee deal basically. So then Omar Norman Lott, he's also a great defensive tackle, winning life after CJ. But their last few drafts haven't really been hitting. Like, I mean, George Karlaftis is a solid D end, not a great D end.
Well, they've been drafting at like 32 for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean. but you can still get solid picks. But I'm saying like Karlaftis came like 3-4 years ago, and he's a good defensive end. He's not a great one. Like he's not a game changer. Like CJ, like Chris Jones is a game changer. Like he's a big difference maker. But once he's gone, that defensive line is not the same anymore.
Why are we talking about the defense, though? Their defense is solid. There's no problems there. What about the offense? Their receivers are underperforming. Their line has been chewed up. And
Rashid Rice on the Bears. Yeah.
Rashid Rice might come back. Doesn't he still have that thing going for him?
That's why I think that why the Broncos might be able to surprise people is that they might finally actually be able to win the division.
I'm going to give it to the guy who's the better quarterback.
Sure, you could, but I'm saying that is a possibility. At number 3, the Buffalo Bills. It seems like it's rinse and repeat with this team. Yeah. They have a so-so offseason. They go into the league. Josh Allen doesn't have a main guy. They re-signed Khalil Shakir. Josh Allen balls out. They make it to the playoffs, and then something happens.
I mean, they're the one team that is like, they're primed to like trade for a wide receiver right now. And I mentioned on draft night, I was like, oh man, after the Luther Burton pick, it's like Buffalo Bills with DJ Moore, that makes like such a, sensible trade option for them. Like just getting a number 1 guy for them, for Josh Allen to have, one that can stretch the field and catch all of his screens. Like I feel like that is like a match made in heaven for the Bills right now. Obviously a lot has to happen. There's a lot of contractual issues with DJ Moore being able to be traded like that. So I don't know if that happens, but I'm just like, that's like the one thing they're missing. because I don't really know what else they're missing. They drafted cornerback, so they've gotten better at cornerback this year. I think it was a good cornerback draft. Forgetting who they drafted at cornerback.
Maxwell Harrison.
They retooled their whole defensive line. Landon Jackson, Deion Walker, and then what else did they get? I feel like they went really heavy.
They signed Elijah Moore to a 1-year deal. They had Tre'Davious White.
Re-signed him,
on the 1-year deal, and then I'm looking at what they got. Josh Palmer.
Done.
Josh Palmer. Oh, dude, we're stupid. Joey Bosa.
Oh, Joey Bosa's on the team now.
Oh, wow.
Yep, Joey Bosa joined the team. Yep.
Yeah, but he's always in the blue tent.
Yep.
And
but,
then we've got
if things go well. Sorry, if things go well for them, which they tend to, they're a well-coached team. It is what it is. They've proven to be a perennial top three team every single year.
That's quarterback.
Yeah.
At number 2, we've got Wasé's favorite defense, the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Jalen Carter.
My favorite
Jordan Davis, Philadelphia Bulldogs, the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, going in with Jalen Hurts, Saquon, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
They didn't really make any moves.
They had a great draft.
I think the biggest offseason takeaway for them is Lane Johnson didn't end up retiring.
Right.
But the rich get richer, and they got Josh Campbell to come in there and be an anchor for the linebacking. Yep. So they had a solid draft.
I mean,
and then
how do we feel about their, losing most of their defensive line? Josh Sweat is gone. We have Milton Williams, who went to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Who else? And I don't think Bryce Huff is really panning out for them, right? Like, it just feels like there's questions all over.
I feel like Jalen Carter being that guy on their defense is going to elevate whoever's around.
Yeah, he's
that type of player,
defensive player of the year type of guy. He's like Aaron Donald. Like, you don't really need much around him. He's gonna wreck games no matter what.
How do you feel about them hiring from within? They just promoted their pass game coordinator to their OC with Kellen Moore gone, and then kind of someone that's been held over for a few different times. Like they've retained them as like different versions of the passing coordinators, tight end, coach. And then
we saw what happened the last time they did make a coordinator switch after success, and that offense just went downhill. I just think with Saquon there, it completely tips the scale.
Yeah,
it's not so reliant on Jalen Hurts, and we're about to get to that in a minute. But the idea that Saquon's still there, I think Saquon's got a couple of years in the tank, still at an elite level. He's going to really elevate that offense still. The offensive line is still great. And the defense, I mean, like we said, just like guys on the defense right now, especially in the secondary too, with Cooper DeJean leading that charge, they were able to get rid of Gardner Johnson, and they just look prime for another run. And then number 1, we've got the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Malachi Starks coming into this team, basically completing the defense. This team is
not just that. You're going to mention Malachi
We're just waiting for this team to go
Mike Green
and make the push.
Mike Green, in like the 40-some-odd pick. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Jeez.
Also, D-Hop is a Raven. That's another thing.
Yeah, but they're just getting retreads out.
Yeah.
They need a number 1 guy, like legit number 1 guy.
Yeah.
And they're in the same boat as the Bills. They need a number 1 guy.
Well, anyways, I mean, that was a no-brainer with the Baltimore Ravens, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah.
They just seem to be consistent as all teams coached by Harbaugh's are. So, I mean, we knew they were good last year. They got better in terms of, the roster development, and we'll see if they can get over the hump this year.
Yep. Yeah. All right, it's time for our first ever quarterback ranking segment. Now, I love a good quarterback ranking, but being able to get 17 people involved from all over the country, all types of different fans, we really wanted to diversify our pool. We got some crazy takes in here. We got some recency bias. We got some good, hard-nosed, great film-watching quarterback gurus in here. So we have Abrar, Usher, Siraj, Shay, Adil, Wasé, me, Ikram, Izan, Numan, Faraz, Uzi, Sayed, Harun, Furqan, Ibrahim from Cali, and Nasser. Wide range of this. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start from honorable mentions.
Why?
And with 1 vote in 8th place, we have our very own Caleb Williams. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears rookie record holder for touchdowns, for attempts without an interception, for passing yards, had the greatest rookie season. And I saw on Twitter somebody was saying that Caleb Williams had a top 10 rookie season of all time. Now, I don't want to spend too much. I don't want to spend too much time on the honorable mentions, but let's continue. Number 13, Super Bowl runner-up, NFC Championship game, getting injured person. I don't know how else to phrase that.
Getting injured person.
Paid 5 years, $265 million. What are we doing, John Lynch? Brock Purdy, 1 vote at the number 6 spot. I gotta call these people out.
Wow,
ridiculous.
number 6
It's
spot.
Ezon. Yeah, Ezon the freaking nightmare.
You're from California?
Ezon's from here now.
Oh God.
Actually, no, he's in New York. At number 12, it is Adil's Mario, Jared Goff.
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. Jared Goff.
I'm clipping this. I'm clipping that.
The lights did too much. At number, Adil, do you want to say anything about Jared Goff being at 12?
Yeah, I mean, your entire survey base is based out of Chicago, or at least the majority of it.
It's not. Majority of it, sure. Yeah. Majority of it, sure.
Look at his face. Look at your face.
I don't consider Goff to be one of the elite QBs in the league in terms of talent. But the thing is at the beginning of last season, you were saying, hey, but Goff has MVP level play. That's all I said. You got so offended. Oh, he chokes. The lights are bright. The guy went to a Super Bowl and NFC Championship game with 2 different teams. He has, I think, the highest winning percentage in primetime games. The highest winning percentages in primetime games. Mr. Bright Lights! And then on top of that,
5 interceptions on Sunday Night Football during the Texans.
And then on top of that, hold on a second.
I can't say.
And then on top of all of that, this guy has gone head-to-head with all of the elite QBs and has a winning record against them. Like your boy Mahomes, what is it? 2-0 against Mahomes? Huh?
How many rings?
It'll be one after this year. One after this year. And by the way, my number 1 QB doesn't have a ring, so doesn't matter about rings to me.
Doesn't have a ring.
My number 1 QB on my list doesn't have a ring.
Does not. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
At number 11, Dakota Prescott, Dallas Cowboys.
So low.
At 11.
So low.
Why?
I think we all had him in our top 10s. Yeah, we did. No. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Aldo had him the highest. Aldo had him at 6.
I had him at 7.
But yeah, majority of people didn't even have him on their list.
Dak is a perennial MVP candidate when he plays. I don't care what y'all say.
He had 4 10th place votes, and the rest were the 3 of us.
11?
Yeah.
I gotta know who's 10 and 9 then.
At number 10, again, I told you a lot of recency bias went into this. Jaden Daniels.
Hell.
And we have actually a tie at 10 between Jaden Daniels, who a lot of people had. He had a lot of votes. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 12 votes for Jaden Daniels. Tied with number 10. Tied for number 10 with Jaden Daniels is none other than Mr. Baker Mayfield, who is coming off of probably a career year. He is currently on the shirt. He is as high. So somebody actually had Jaden Daniels at, let's see who had Jaden Daniels was a top 5?
Who had him at top 5?
Furkan had him top 5. That's crazy.
Sorry, Furkan.
Baker Mayfield came in with majority 9 place votes, and he finished tied for 9.
Yeah, I had
so great.
That's absolutely wild. I'm sorry. Baker's first good year is this year. The first year where he may have been a top 10 QB.
Last year was a solid.
He literally ended the Browns' playoff losing streak
since that doesn't mean anything. He didn't play like a top 10 QB that year.
Yeah, he did. Oh my God, we're not doing this right now. That could be a group chat beat for next week. All right, at number 8,
Baker homers, man.
This is with 1 point higher than Jaden and Baker. 1 point separated them. CJ Stroud. And
that's insanity.
I feel like, my God.
Adil didn't have him on his list. So Adil had Goff and Daniels over CJ Stroud.
Stroud. What has Stroud done outside of put up numbers against the AFC South?
Made the playoffs twice.
Okay, in the AFC South.
And then beat the Ravens the first year, right? He lost the Ravens.
No,
he beat
the Browns. He beat the Browns. The Browns who have problems at QB. Who do they have? Joe Flacco? Stop this. Stop it.
And then they beat last year.
Did they win a playoff game
win
last
is
year?
a playoff win.
Did they win a playoff win? I thought they won a playoff.
They did.
Joe
Yeah,
Flacco
they won
Joe
playoff.
Flacco was retired for a year by that point, a year and a half before he came off his
No, but
ass
this
and
past
played.
year.
I don't think they
This
won a
past
playoff
year,
game. Did they?
They did. They for sure did. He has 2 playoff wins, man. We can't like slight that with absolutely no offensive line, and then all of his receivers being injured besides Nico.
And the fact that these are only his first 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
I struggled so hard with people that said that he was top 5 QB last year. He was like 5 to 6 last year. But the fact that he had a down year for sure, from all accounts, with a bad coach, with bad coaching. Like, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt. Bobby Slowick was a bad coach. He had a bad offensive line, and his weapons got hurt. Tank Dell got hurt. Stephon Diggs got hurt. So I think we can give him the benefit. I like him at 10-ish, like 8 to 10. I think like it's interchangeable.
Yeah, like it's
so
not outrageous.
I don't think it's outrageous. At number,
He's
here's
outside
where it
the
gets
top
crazy.
10.
Here's where it gets crazy. Separated by 3 points. 5 to 7 are separated by 3 points. And we are going to be upset. So I will play the devil's advocate here. At number 7, it's Justin Herbert.
Too low.
Herbert at 7?
7 is
Too low.
Herbert. I think the 3 of us had Herbert.
I'm in my top 5. Never leaving my top 5.
Okay, again, Adil, you have Herbert at 7.
Oh wait,
It's like drafting Josh Connerly in the in the first round.
I'll never give that. I'll never
Too
live that
low,
down.
man. Too low.
I mean, as far as consensus is concerned, too low. I expected other people to think highly of him.
But you didn't think of him.
That's great. I like that. All right. At 6, again, he had, wow, this is crazy. He had 7 votes at 6, but at 6, he has a 1 point less than number 5 at 73 points. It's Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, he's at 6 right now, you're saying?
Yeah, he's at 6. So above
fair.
Herbert,
I have him top
him
5.
above Herbert. I think that works. I think he's above Herbert. I have him top 5.
Above Herbert.
Wasé has him below Herbert.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about Stafford and Herbert. I think Herbert reminds me a lot of, and you can say like he is Stafford before Stafford went to the Rams.
Yeah.
Like he has not the greatest team. He doesn't have the greatest pieces around him.
Right,
And then Stafford,
exactly.
once he got those pieces, once he got the Cooper Kupp,
Right.
the Puka Nakuas, better won the Super Bowl, better coaching. Now Herbert's got Jim Harbaugh, slowly getting pieces. He got Trey Harris, Ladd McConkey. Now he's got Omarion Hampton and
I mean, he had Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. We can't say he didn't have any pieces around him, and he always had.
I mean, with Anthony Lynn as your coach, like
bad coaching.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
attribute to bad coaching, but like he's
I don't think he
one
ever
of
had
the
Anthony
best-
Lynn.
he did
Brett
have
Staley
Anthony.
Lynn,
did
right?
have
You're right. He did.
He never-
Maybe
oh, what's it? Brandon
No,
Staley. Brandon
Anthony Lynn was
Staley.
our
They're like the same. There's like the white
Yeah.
version of Anthony Lynn.
Yeah.
Poor clock management. Poor game management. I remember the timeout that he called against the Raiders when the Raiders were willing to go into overtime. Yeah, that's crazy. So Stafford.
Wow, Stafford
Is
over
that-
Herbert is wild. No,
Yeah.
just
Stafford over
based
Herbert?
on age, based on age,
Age, experience.
But like experience, career, you won a Super Bowl,
Career, yeah.
production. He's not like slowing down. He's just got
Yeah,
Devontae
but-
Adams coming in. He's got Puka. He's making a guy out of Puka.
Yeah.
Their line is getting
And then-
healthy again. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
The offensive line's playing better. The other thing is that even though Stafford didn't really have the best year last year by like the production would state, it just feels like Stafford is doing so much at the line. Like he gets to the line,
Yeah.
you see him going, no, kill, go. You know, he's making all these checks and whatnot, and you just go, okay, Stafford has full control over that offense. Like he's
Yeah.
making that engine run. So that's why,
Yeah.
I still have
Yeah.
Stafford, even though the production isn't always there.
So this is where we're gonna get pissed off. Number 5
Jalen.
by 1 point is Jalen Hurts. Now, recency bias. He won a Super Bowl. He went to a Super Bowl 3 years ago. He was an MVP candidate in 2022. That's all I got.
He's a limited passer.
It's the resume.
Yeah,
That's what it
he
is.
plays in one of the best situations in football. Past 3-4 years, his whole career basically isn't really elite at anything besides the tush push. I'm not being a hater. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. He's not a great thrower of the football. Thank God for the tush push and them mastering it because it's made them much more efficient. They can they basically
As a runner, he's regressed. Like he doesn't take the risks that
Yeah.
he did in 22.
Wow, that 5th, really?
Yeah,
Top
man.
5 is insane.
I mean, Izan had him at number 3. That's how high he went. Uzi had him at 4.
Oh,
Nasser had him at 4. The Zaydis are in love with him. The Zaydis all put him at 5. Haroon put him at 5.
what?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude!
Tough,
Winning
man.
a Super Bowl should not get you that. Like we're talking about just quarterback play,
But
and he's not even a better quarterback than Jim Daniels.
think about Adil, you still with us?
I'm still here, dude. I'm just letting you guys. I'm letting Wasé cook.
No, the camera or the laptop. Think about how we view a championship in today's day and age. Like, we put so much stock into it where it's not even like
Jordan.
Like, think about a Ravens fan that was hype about Joe Flacco. His day and age, you would throw Joe Flacco into the elite category.
Yeah, all easily.
And I feel like there is still, especially the fact that Herbert played so poorly in the last time we saw him and exited the playoffs with 3, or was it 4 interceptions?
Yeah, it was bad.
Herbert to me all year was like that, prototypical number 5. He's the guy that you put there.
Yeah.
The fact that he went out with the whimper like that during the playoffs, it puts a sour taste in your mouth. Like, that's the last memory that you have of him. The fact that Jalen won, I get it from that perspective. But I just don't agree with that.
We see Lamar fail often. We see Josh Allen fail. We see Joe Burrow fail. We see all of them fail, but we're not, we don't hold that against them the way we hold it against us.
Yeah, but they don't, they put up crazy numbers. We've seen them.
Yeah, some bad playoff games, but they all have bad playoff games.
That'll take Mahomes to the top 4. And again, we're talking about recency bias. What do we last see them do? Yeah. Joe Burrow's number 4.
I disagree with that, but it's okay.
And Wasé had him at 2. Adil had him at 1. So Adil, why don't you take this?
Yeah.
I mean, do you ever see him play? He has full control of the game. He looks like he's calm, collected. Nothing ever shakes him. Yeah. Like, you give him the ball, he's marching down the field, man. I don't care about anything that anyone says. Joe Burrow looks like he is the best QB in the league. Most swag.
Always,
most production. This guy, I don't care that he has he's got a good skill positions. I understand that. But there's an argument to be said that he benefits from that. But I feel like he is so accurate. Those balls are exactly where they need to be. Take that any which way you want to, bro. He's got some cojones. Okay, like that boy nice. Okay, bro, nice.
We all have him higher than the consensus. The consensus, there was 9 people that had him at 4, and you guys were the only 2 that had him at 1 and 2. No one else had him there. I had him at 3. I think
not everybody deserves a mic on this show. Sorry.
I think it's between Josh Allen and him at 4, and I think the reason that Josh Allen's coming off of an MVP. Yeah. Right. You can say what you want about should he have won the MVP. It's between him and Lamar. Yeah. But he won the MVP, and you can point to that. Also, like, Josh Allen has, and I'm saying this because of not only Joe Burrow's injury history, but the team around him is not performing as well. Yeah. Josh Allen can take over a game. Joe Burrow hasn't been able to show that he can take over a game in maybe as much of a capacity as Josh Allen has over the last 2 years.
Can I call bullshit?
That's bullshit.
Really?
Yeah, it's significantly bullshit. What are you talking about?
Josh Allen at least has a defense behind him. What the fuck? When Joe Burrow scores 40 a game?
Right, but the end result is what we're looking at, right? Like, who can take over a game?
Look at the context, not just the end result. Because if you just look at the end result, then there's a lot of things that you can.
I had Joe Burrow higher than Josh Allen. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Okay, don't play devil's advocate.
Okay, at number 3, we have Lamar Jackson.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
So Lamar's at 3. Damn. Yeah, Lamar's at 3.
For as much as we dogged Lamar in our past, this guy's proved us wrong time and time again. Yeah. So kudos to him.
Number 2, Josh Allen. He just came off of his MVP year. Tons of people like him. He's one of the most liked players in the league right now. And at number 1, it's Patty Mahomes.
Of course.
Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, one of the greatest ever to do it. He's up there. Adil's actually, I think, the only person that didn't have Mahomes. No, Shay also didn't have Mahomes.
Those 2 guys wouldn't.
So interesting that.
Listen, let me just speak my piece and I'll be done. Mahomes benefited from the best situation in the league when he entered. Okay, now he's just an EPA guy, just passes it to the open guy, let the yak yards take care of it. He plays with the best coach in the National Football League. Okay, let's stop this. Joe Burrow is the number 1 QB in the league. Lamar right behind him.
I completely disagree with that statement.
I disagree. Little segment that I like to call Nadeem and Wasé aren't here, so I can say what the F I want. Okay. Patrick Mahomes, I'm sorry, but you put the ball into harm's way. You're not that good. You benefited from having the best skill players, the best coaching around you. Now, and even the best offensive line, and a great defense as well. All that stuff's crumbling around you. You're not the best QB in the league. You need to have 10 years of this stuff before we start talking about it. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. Joe Burrow is cold. Lamar Jackson is cold. They run circles around you. Screw Patty Mahomes. Also, anyone who voted Goff outside the top 10, the guy came 5th in MVP voting this year. What the hell did Baker Mayfield do? He threw for like 12 picks. This guy's responsible for every single playoff demise in the last 2 years. This guy has the fumble and the handoff last year, gets the commies to come to Detroit. Before that, the Bucks also had the game-losing interception thrown to Derek Barnes against the Lions. What are we talking about? Baker's cheeks. I'm just talking to myself right now. I'm sorry. My wife just walked in. Something else that I wanted to get off my chest. Dream, you're biased. We all know it. You just have a good speaking voice, a pretty face. That's why nobody calls you out. You're biased. We all know it. Nobody likes Baker Mayfield. I like him. He's a good guy. Seems to be kind of fun. Another thing I wanted to get off my chest. The Chicago Bears, bro. Like, I know you guys did a lot. You guys had a lot going for you this offseason, right? But that's the problem is that, like, you're bringing in players. You're buying everybody to come into your team this year. You guys don't know how to win yet. The core of your roster doesn't know how to win. Ben Johnson has never been a head coach before. It's a different ball game, dude. Okay, Dennis Allen's a pretty good pickup, but outside of that, running an offense and being the head coach, it's hard. Figure that shit out. And then come talk to me. You guys are at 4 wins for right now. I don't think it'll get higher than 6. The Lions, they have continuity. I know they miss out on their coordinators. That's okay. We got new coordinators. Dan Campbell's the guy. Outside of that, things are on my mind. All right, you in the audience, do you have a question for me? We're going to do that, that in-between segment here. What would you like to talk about? Say it loud. No, go ahead. What's something you want to talk about? You're a Florida State fan, right?
He's going to be the quarterback of the year, isn't he?
So where does Jameis Winston play? The Giants now? Okay, so you got Russell Wilson, who is the starting quarterback now. Jackson Dart just got drafted. He's going to be the future. Where does Jameis play in all this? He's going to prove himself by doing what? This right here? You hungry? You want some W's? God. Oh, he's such a nice guy, though. He seems so, like, fun-loving. You can't hate him. Even though he's, like, someone you'd be like, oh, God, this guy's kind of an idiot. He's, like, a lovable idiot. All right, next question. All right, so my wife's a Florida State fan. She didn't even go to Florida State. She went to the University of Miami. So Florida State, that year that they went undefeated but lost Travis Hunter, they got boat raced in the playoff game, like 63-3 or something like that. Jordan Travis, my bad. They got boat raced. That's actually pretty good. Travis Hunter is the, Heisman Trophy winner. All right, anyways, they got boat race not even in the playoffs, in the bowl game against Georgia. And you would think that, like, if they had a better culture, that they would be able to actually get players to stick around and play in the bowl game. Or if they had better coaches, they'd be able to stick around and actually, compete. It's a playoff game. It's a bowl game. It's pride. Like, what are we doing here? What's going on? The fact that they ended up sucking the way that they did this year, you sat there, you made me watch games with you against, like, who? Who did Florida State play? That was like, oh my God, I think it was this night game where Florida State was like, I think they were playing against, I forget who, but like DJU basically did nothing the entire game. And I had to sit there like a good husband and be supportive over this crap team. And I'm just sitting here like, what? What are we doing? Why am I doing this? My wife sits through that. Kudos to her. She's a great fan. I love you. You didn't go to Florida State. You're not getting roasted. Miami did well last year. Cam Ward was the number 1 pick. That's okay. Florida State didn't make it to the playoffs either. Same playing field. You guys are good. What's another thing I want to talk about? Okay, evaluating QB play. There is something that's been happening as of late in the NFL where QBs are benefiting from this new coaching play calling metric. EPA, this is something that Ben Johnson talked about in an interview. EPA basically is just putting your QB in the best position to get positive yardage, right? Even if you get like a 5-yard completion and you have players running up the field for the rest of, like, the whatever added on top of it, it's actually contributing to the QB's ability to perform, right? They're not forcing QBs to make difficult throws or to put the team on their back. I think that age is going to be gone from now on. So I think the biggest beneficiary this year is going to be Caleb Williams, obviously, because he's not going to be asked to do too much. And he shouldn't. He shouldn't be trying to extend plays and just live for another down. And Caleb Williams is going to be successful. The problem is that if he's so used to playing out of a structure and wants to continue to do stuff that he doesn't need to, go out of his way, throw things away, not throw these balls away, but trying to put it in harm's way in order to make a play, I think the Bears are going to have a harder time than they think. But if Caleb just sticks to the plan, they can make a run. Not against us because we're dominant, but it is what it is. What else? What else can we talk about? There were a few topics that I wanted to talk about in the future, I'm sorry, in the past. We didn't get a chance to do so. I'm sorry, I'm literally talking to myself. Nobody else is on right now. Their camera died.
Yeah, that's what I told you.
Yeah, but I guess they're coming on to finish the last segment. That's okay. I'm still going to be talking to myself. Group chat. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the most overrated QB in the league. Anyone who has listed inside the top 10 they're lying to themselves. I only gave him the 10th spot because he had just won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts can't complete any sort of pass that isn't a flare out, isn't something easy over the middle. He can't even run properly. This guy's just, if it wasn't for the tush push, if it wasn't just for being a very good looking kid, if it wasn't for Jalen having played in a good offensive system, I just don't think Jalen would be a successful quarterback. He's parlayed this into a great career so far. I just don't think this is going to last. I think Caleb is going to, yeah, that doesn't matter. The Eagles had a great team. Jalen didn't do anything special. Shoot. What else? What else? Let me look at some old topics they had, and I'll just speak into the mic. Okay. Start, bench, cut, NFC North edition. So QBs, we got Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and JJ McCarthy. All right. If we're doing start, bench, cut, I'm going to start Jared Goff. I'm going to bench Caleb Williams, and I'm going to cut Jordan Love. I think Caleb Williams' upside is great. I'd have him, but he's not proven. That's the only reason why I have Goff over him. At running back, DeAndre Swift, Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then we'll say Aaron Jones as well. But odd man out, I probably think I'd cut out Swift. So it'll just be Jones, Jacobs, and Gibbs. So I would start Gibbs, bench Jacobs, and I would cut Aaron Jones. And that is primarily an age thing, although Aaron Jones is super dynamic. I love him. As far as wide receivers are concerned, DJ Moore, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then we'll just cut. It's just a natural cut for anyone from Green Bay. So I would start Amon-Ra. He's a back-to-back All-Pro. Shoot. No, will he get JJ? Okay. Start JJ, bench Amon-Ra, and then cut DJ. And that hurt, but it was pretty easy. Okay. Tight end. TJ Hawkinson, Tucker Kraft, Cole Kmet, and Sam Laporta. I think Sam Laporta I'd bench Hawk, and I'd cut Kraft, and naturally Kmet as well. Kmet would be the odd man out. As far as O-line is concerned, for basing it off last year's play, I didn't think the Lions O-line played that well. The interior was a problem. I think Graham Glasgow had a terrible year. It led to a lot of the issues that the Lions had on offense, if they had any. So most of the issues that the Lions had were probably due to the interior offensive line, if we're talking about from an offensive perspective. And they still are elite, though. They're just goes to tell you something. I would say that it's the Lions at a start. If we were going to bench anyone, if we're basing this off last year, it'd be the Packers, and we'd cut the Vikings, and then obviously the Bears this year. I think they would end up being benched this year. But
the last segment for today's episode is our Mount Rushmore. We do this every week.
Nice.
We love doing this. It's a fun segment.
Yeah.
And today we're talking about college quarterbacks. Adil will kick off our Mount Rushmore of greatest college quarterbacks that we've ever seen.
Tim Tebow. That's going to be my that Jesus-loving mug. He was always playing hard all the goddamn time, and it was a thorn in Michigan's side. I mean, that the one year where they were like 12-2 or like 11-2 or something like that, and I think Michigan fans were hoping we get another crack at OSU, only for Florida to come in and dog walk them. So I hate him for that, but respect the guy. He's one of the GOATs. Go ahead.
Wasé, you can go.
I'm going to go with Vince Young, just because he has one of the most memorable and most, not RFL, but when you say someone has like some of the most, like it's a memorable photo. The photo of him like going in for the touchdown, rushing for the touchdown against the US.
Iconic.
Oh, crossing the goal line.
Iconic.
There you go.
Iconic. I'm tripping.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. It's one of the most iconic photos in college football history of them beating like basically Goliath, which was the USC Trojans at the time. Vince Young is probably my number 2. I think I'd go 1 Tebow, 2 Vince Young, just because I'm an electric football player. So.
All right. So for me, my number 1 is obviously the man on the shirt. It's Baker Mayfield. What he did for Oklahoma, he was sensational. Coming in, transferring. First of all, he was a walk-on to Texas Tech. Then he transferred, played pretty well under Cliff Kingsbury. Then he played pretty well and transferred over to Oklahoma. Walked on to Oklahoma, won the job over Trevor Knight, who was the incumbent. Played great for Bob Stoops, played great for Lincoln Riley, was a Heisman runner-up in 2016, Heisman winner in 2017, led an insane Oklahoma team in 2017, only to lose in one of the greatest college football playoff semifinals we've ever seen against Georgia, and was the number 1 overall pick. I think in terms of, like, Tebow was great. Vince Young had a great year. But in terms of longevity of career, not just stat padding, I think you can't tell the story of college football without Baker Mayfield. Speaking of telling the story about college football, my number 2 is going to be Joe Burrow, who put together the greatest season in college football history with the LSU Tigers. That team is probably seen as everyone's favorite team collectively. You had Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Ed Edwards-Helaire, Randy Moss's son, Theo Moss, and Ed Orgeron, Coach O. Everyone loved Ed Orgeron.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow that season was insane, obviously winning the Heisman.
Go easy on that cigar, boy. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. And he just put up like insane. I think he had 60 touchdowns. I think he was that good.
Like that.
So that's number 2.
Something like that.
Why don't you go?
My number 2 would be going back to the same era, Matt Leinart, 2-time national champion, 1-time Heisman winner. I think he was a Heisman runner-up, also lost to his own teammate, Reggie Bush. Matt Leinart, I mean, I felt like he was going to be like the next big thing at quarterback. Obviously didn't go that way in the draft. Things had changed in terms of like how they looked at quarterbacks, I guess, but he was one of the greatest quarterbacks we'd ever seen. That whole program of USC, man, there was like, they had celebrities there. They had celebrities interested in college football like that. Like Snoop Dogg was at games. Like all these like folks, I forget who it was. Like Lendell White and Reggie Bush were like 2 like very big, like the big men on campus type of thing. Like they had such a great like aura to them. And then Matt Leinart was leading that charge with two titles, and then another title appearance, and then lost to Vince Young. Like 3 back-to-back titles is wild. Had they even won, have been even crazier. So yeah, Matt Leinart deserves to nod at number 2 for me.
They'll give us your 2 and 3.
I mentioned that Cam Newton seemed larger than life.
Yeah.
I know that he didn't put up great numbers, but it just was like, if I saw Cam Newton walking like onto the field, it's a 6'5" behemoth who's going to run over you and into the end zone. I'm just, oh my God. And then he's got the national championship with it. I know that he didn't have gaudy passing numbers, but my God, was he a force.
I mean, even
Cam Newton's number 2 for me.
The idea that Cam Newton was the guy that was going to dominate the defense that they put in front of him, and he literally ran through the SEC at Auburn.
This is the size of defensive linemen.
He was also from that Tim Tebow, that Urban Meyer Florida team that had.
That is funny. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Who's your number 3?
Oh, we're doing Snake?
Yeah.
All right, buddy. You're putting me on the spot here. But since we can just say anything on this podcast, I'm going to say Kellen Moore. Because all it matters is about these stats that people can throw out. Really, Baker is number 1 college QB of all time. That's ridiculous. Sorry. I think that was just, I'm trying to get at Nadeem for no reason. I was going to say Vince Young. Obviously, Vince Young, that moment of Vince Young.
I already picked Vince Young. You got to choose somebody else.
I'm not allowed to take the same thing?
It's a Mount Rushmore.
All right, let me just tell you. I was listen. I'm in 2005. Whenever that game was happening, I just want to talk about this. 2005. I remember looking at like Vince Young, like that small little run with the ball rolling across the goal line. It's like etched in my memory forever and forever. Sorry. All right. So instead of Vince Young, because I'm not allowed to choose QBs that I've already taken.
There's an easy layup for you,
I didn't know that we weren't allowed to. All right, why don't you give me an easy layup?
Manziel.
No, man. What is wrong with you guys? Why would Johnny Manziel be one of the all-time QBs in college football
I feel
history?
like Adil thinks that the NFL actually impacts what they did in college.
Johnny Manziel, he's called Johnny Football for a reason.
Johnny Football was super entertaining. He was fun to watch.
He was
but
college football.
I'm not thinking of. Listen, he was college football. That's great. I would take all those QBs mentioned before over
We're
him.
not even talking about. We're not even talking about like NFL trajectory or whatever it is. Like Johnny Manziel was like a one-man.
I don't care.
He was
I'm
a
talking about
one-man
college
wrecking
football.
crew by himself. Not by himself, but he was just so electric, rushing, throwing. Like Johnny Manziel's up there, man. He was a freshman. He was the only freshman.
For
he
me,
was like the first freshman quarterback to win Heisman. That's crazy.
Was Texas A&M ever in the conversation for a championship? I don't even know if they had that at the time. Was he able to sneak into the 14 playoff?
No, he wasn't. The 14 playoff wasn't around when he was in college.
Bama in a. Okay, what bowl games did he get? What was his bowl record? Nobody cares about that at the end of the day.
You said Kellen Moore, and Kellen Moore is like he never won a title either or a Heisman. So
Kellen Moore is
Kellen Moore. I used Kellen Moore to get under Nadeem's skin. I don't actually care. If anything, I would rather just stick with Kellen Moore than go with Johnny Manziel just out of spite.
So who's your number 3?
Who's your number 3, man?
I'm gonna go with Kellen Moore. I'm going with Kellen Moore.
I thought you said Kellen Moore.
You already went Kellen Moore.
Yeah, so who's your number 3?
No, it was Cam Newton was my number 2.
Kellen Moore. Okay,
Kellen Moore
so is your
number 3.
Okay, Kellen Moore. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't intending on going with him, but for all the reasons I just said otherwise, he was a freshman Heisman winner. He was literally college football, the biggest thing that we've ever seen as a phenomenon in college sports.
Yeah.
No one's going to top that. He was a superstar before college football had superstars like that.
Yep. And I'm going to go at number 3 with a guy that was the only guy to beat Nick Saban's defense twice in the college football playoff. Deshaun Watson, the Clemson Tiger, one of the greatest, probably the greatest national championship we've ever seen between Alabama and Clemson.
That was a great game.
Walk-off touchdown to Hunter Renfrow, never be forgotten. He's etched in history. And at number 4, so you took Cam, you took Johnny. I got to give a shout out to my guy, Pat White at the University of West Virginia. He was so good. He was Lamar before Lamar. He was just electric. He was the first one to really get it popping on the ground. Him and that team. I think McAfee was even on that team. That's how far back it goes. But yeah, Pat White was just, if you haven't seen it, watch the Pat White mixtape. That mixtape is insane. It's like the Tavon Austin or like the Julian Hill. But yeah, Pat White rounds out my list.
Okay, so we got Deshaun's out of there, Cam's out of there, Tebow's out of there, Vince Young, Leinart, Johnny, Kellen Moore, Pat White. What did you say? Deshaun Watson, Baker. Jesus, that's like now I'm like Burrow. I'm trying to think of who to even think of.
I got a guy that likes his crab legs.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm that big of a Jameis fan. Let's go Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson. I think he was elected in college, won the Heisman his sophomore year. I don't think he did much as a contender in the national championship.
No, he never had a team around him.
Yeah, never had a team around him. But he was so electric too. Yeah. So
the fact that he won a Heisman at Louisville of all places is crazy.
It's insane. So yeah, I'm gonna go Lamar Jackson just because I feel like that's like the
Lamar
Jackson.
Lamar.
But I get you confuse your all the time. So anyways.
And who's the last one? They'll take us home.
All right. So please remember to cut this part. All right. So I'm going to go because I'm going to, again, I preempted this before. Jameis Winston is the guy I'm going to go with. My wife is from Florida State. I'm just going to choose him. I swear to you, I know he had the good season. I'm not that big of a college football watcher. I'm not that avid. But I do remember Jameis Winston yelling F right in the P right on national camera, national television. And that's one thing, and for that reason. And another reason, when he got suspended and he came out with his football gear anyways to try and play. The guy is so freaking funny. Just for that reason, I'm going to put him at number 4, bro. I don't care about stats. Stats be dead. He was the funniest dude I've ever seen.
Yeah, he is.
James Winston is my number 1.
All right, guys, that's all we have for today's show. Thank you guys so much for watching. For Adil and Wasé, I'm Nadeem. We'll see you guys next week.